when I was given this assignment, it was pretty awesome thing. I was like, oh, so sweet. I get to actually, because when I read the Bible, I read through the Word. It's something, I just get joy just discovering what goes on, vice versa, here and there. Because you always notice something different every time you go over the same stories that you think you know in the Bible.
Yeah.
So specifically, I'm going to go through the book of Job. And I'm certain everyone knows the story of Job, of how you have this individual who is a right man. In fact, if you open to this first chapter, chapter 1, verse 1, there's a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And that man was perfect and upright, and the one that feared God and eschewed evil. So this man knew what he was doing. He was saved, he was righteous. However, when he, got into the realm of Christ, got into the realm of God, he started developing an error about that. So with that being the case, you sort of see how this individual, how he says he was righteous. The problem was not that he was actually righteous. The problem was that he was righteous and he knew it. This falls in the category of what we call self-righteousness. Self-righteousness falls in the category of what Co Pastor was saying on Sunday, of that self-pride, that pride of establishing yourself instead of receiving praise from individuals and being humble in your walk. You're basically walking in such a righteousness that you're walking in pride.
Wow.
So self-righteousness is defined as having or characterized by a certainty, especially by an unfounded one, and that one is totally correct or morally superior, aka holier than thou. This is one of the leading ways that individuals sometimes stray away from Christianity. And I actually hear that from people on campus who aren't saved. They say sometimes Christians, they demean me because I have a different lifestyle. I want to get to know this Christian thing, but because they're so, I'm better than you, I'm doing this better than you, they're not able to listen and actually diagnose and try to get into Christianity, because the first step of Christ is to receive Him. But if you're living holier than thou, I don't want what you're having, because obviously you're on something else. So the sin that Job actually walked in is actually one of the most difficult sins to see. Though he was perfect and upright in how he lived in his reference to God and His law, he neglected the spirit of the law, which God actually wanted the individuals of the law to actually interpret. So what goes on throughout the story of Job, I'm certain everyone knows, is that this man he goes through. He really goes through. And with him setting up his own type of righteousness in him, he allows pride to set up shop in his own temple. Because of the pride here, God allows him to endure a horrid period of trials, which allows him to show his place compared to where God actually is. So if you guys know the story, as you go throughout the book, God allows Satan to come into this man's life and wreak havoc. He ends up killing his children, destroying his property, and obliterating his possessions. This causes him to still praise God. However, this is not the error or the point in which he did anything wrong. He had not an understanding of self-righteousness. This ties into the second trial where God allowed Satan to afflict his body. So obviously the first time when Satan had gone into this man's life, his wreaked havoc and all that, if you go into the third chapter of Job, Satan comes to God again and say, I need your permission to go into this man's body. Notice how it was awesome how God allowed this to happen, because he didn't just let the devil have his way. He actually, in my opinion, used the devil in order to allow Job to go back to Christ. Long story. That's one of the things that I've been saying, but I'm going to go back to what I was originally teaching.
That's good.
So with that being the case, the next 30 chapters of the book turns to a conversation that goes on between his three friends, and none of them provide a legit godly solution to help Job with his problem. And this ends up resulting in God actually chastising his friends for doing so. They constantly either seek praise for his life and what he's already had, and they try to find fault in him, in which Job always corrects them, saying that he has lived such a righteous life. Even though this man was going through, his kids are dead, his wife said, curse God and die, goodness gracious, and all his land is gone, he still walked in a proud confidence in his own righteousness. At this point, and this happens at chapter Job 32, yes, Elihu, one of the young bucks of the group, he is one of the three friends who is actually very, 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 very young. And if you know anything about the days and times, the youth was looked down upon because you didn't know nothing. You need to sit down and you know. So the youth used to just hang out with the elderly in order to obtain wisdom. However, God ended up using one of those. It's one of his mighty ways in movie. He uses the things that we don't normally see in what our culture says is less. He actually ends up giving praise to God and declares his glory and power in creation and his willingness to forgive when we repent. However, through this, Job still does not choose to listen. Amazing, right? Yeah. So God ends up coming on the scene himself through a whirlwind. He comes on the scene and goes off on Job. It is phenomenal. And I can just imagine God speaking in chapter 38, verse 4, where he says, "Where was thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? If I declare thou hast understanding."
Take us there real quick. Let's go there. Let's first go back to Job 32 because you're moving fast, and I want
gotcha.
everyone. Is it good, y'all? Amen. So it's good. You're doing good. So don't rush it now. Job 32 and show us what you're saying. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. Verse 1. Starting with that, it says, "So these three men ceased to answer Job, because he was righteous in his what?
Own eyes.
In his own eyes. Then